To drop out. I was like,
yeah.
that's a little scary. Yeah, it's just like periodic bombs.
We're hanging on to him for a while.
What is this?
Ours.
Who has Phil?
We want Phil. We
want
want Phil.
Okay.
Just as something a little special before we start tonight. Thank you very much. We'd like to do just a kind of special little song that we worked up, and my best friends here, Graham and Brian, are going to help sing along with me.
And they're just
I was walking down a garden park. I saw a flower growing in the dark. It looked so pretty and it was unique. I had to bend down just to have a peek. Hello, old friends.
Hello, old friends.
Yeah, it's really good to see you once again. Hello, old friends.
Hello, old friends.
Really good to see you once again.
So that was Phil Lesh with his sons Brian and Graham, accompanied by Steve Kimmock on April 15th, 1999, performing Eric Clapton's Hello, Old Friend, which in this case was modified to Friends, kicking off a triumphant run at the Warfield Theater, which marked a crucial turning point in his performing career and personal life. But more on that later. Today, we are honoring the life of Phil Lesh, an electric beacon of creative energy, a man of steadfast integrity, a man on the right side of history, and a man who values family and friends. With me are my good friends, ALAINA and Jay.
Hey. Good afternoon.
How we doing? This is the inaugural episode of Only the Strange Remain. For many years, I was made to feel inferior as a deadhead because I had never seen Jerry Garcia in concert. Over the last 20 years, I have dedicated countless hours to listening, playing, discussing, and deeply researching the music of the Grateful Dead.
The communities that have formed around this music are themselves like little independent melodies, running counterpoint and with deliberate interplay. The lifelong friends that we've made through this scene are composed of many disparate elements, woven together like the headiest patchwork quilt.
We hope to highlight the unique and often strange nature of this fandom, which can take many shapes and unexpected forms. If this music is to last for hundreds of years, as some have predicted, there will come a time when no one alive will have seen Jerry in concert, and the stigma will no longer exist.
And nobody in this room has seen Jerry.
That is true.
Damn.
That's
This
true.
is the only
Wow.
Jerry we know.
It's true.
And that's kind of the point. We're doing all this. Now, Jay, I believe you were not alive.
Oh my
Correct.
God.
When
We
he
were
died.
not- we didn't
Yeah.
even overlap.
But
Yeah.
Alaina,
Soul transfer.
do you remember where you were
I
in
do-
the summer of
okay.
1995, specifically August?
Okay, so where's my note that says Jerry died? Here it is. Okay, so my memory of Jerry dying. So memory is fallible, as we know. And so I was 9 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old. So my memory is I'm in my grandparents' bar restaurant, and I'm not allowed to sit at the bar, so I'm sitting at a table on the edge of the, outside of the bar, and there's a little TV in the bar. And I'm watching Roseanne, and on Roseanne is what I believe to be Jerry, already dead, visiting her as a vision while she's in a coma. And I was like, that's crazy that they filmed that not knowing he was going to die. That's insane. That's insane. How'd they know to film him as an angel and now he's really dead? So then, 15 years elapse and I go to rewatch this clip and it is like an abject, offensive impression of Jerry. It's like this horrible, this dude is wearing like the most synthetic gray wig and like a tie-dye shirt and he's like, hey, Roseanne. It's like so offensive. And then at the end, like after he visits, and so Roseanne names her baby Jerry Garcia Connor. And then, I don't know why she's in a coma. And then, because I'm not gonna watch the full episode. And then these hippies come and start doing cartwheels, and they start playing my sisters and brothers. And you're like, okay, like what the fuck was that? And so then I looked into it a little bit, and originally the plan was that Roseanne was going to give birth at a dead show, but then Jerry died. Whoa. So they had this whole thing planned out because they're deadheads on the show, apparently, because they're like libertarian deadheads or whatever. And so I was like, oh, that's crazy. She was going to have the Deemster baby before the Deemster baby even existed. She was going to have the Welcome to the Party Bitch baby. But then I found out that actually there is a Welcome to the Party Bitch baby. In 1975, after Slipknot, it was September 28, 1975, after Slipknot, I assumed to be Bob. I couldn't find the audio of it, but I've read about this, and I assume it's Bob because it's not Jerry. Jerry would never do this. But Bob, I'm pretty sure, goes on the microphone and says, well, a child has been born at the... Or what does he say? He says, oh, if there's a doctor in the house, please come backstage because there's a woman having a baby. So there is a real Deemster baby. There's a Welcome to the Party Bitch baby that is real. That's not in that copy pasta. And it was not born at Good Vibes or All Good or whatever it is in the story. Okay, so that's where I was when Jerry died.
Wow. So, obviously, Jay, you were only a twinkle in your mother's eye.
Yes,
When-
Did
merely
your
an
parents
idea.
even know each other?
They did.
Okay, nice.
They had probably.
So it is a soul transfer.
It was near probably when they had their motorcycle wreck. Which they had a motorcycle wreck
Your
about
parents
a
did?
year before my mom got pregnant. And it was like a blowout going like 90 miles an hour maybe. And then they high-sided, I think. But they had all their gear on and they were safe.
That's amazing. Helmets save lives.
Helmet safe, full face helmet safe because my mom hit her chin and so
Oh
if
my
she hadn't had the
God.
full face helmet, she
Oh my
would.
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, that's good. But so that was probably what was going on around then. I think my dad had sort of removed himself from the dead world, not in an intentional way, but just as life progresses.
Sure.
He was not engaged as much in the scene by then. But I need to ask him. I've sent him the link to this show, so maybe he can tell us.
Well,
yeah, like what
I think
date was it?
some people are familiar with some of the Jerry Tone lore, but
I was not familiar with this.
that one I did not
mind-blowing.
know. But so your dad Eric was a taper, right?
Yes.
And the mid to late 80s. And
Early 80s, really.
so I think
Petty.
I think
Petty
you've
show.
you've told this story before, but I think it's worth repeating here. about your first memory of experiencing the Grateful Dead, and I believe it was a really heady victim of the crime.
That's the one that
Correct.
but also a Joey, weirdly enough. There's two
Really?
memories, but the victim or the crime is the story of my fear emotion. So I had an early story where I was listening with my dad, and I remember just feeling very like scared, but not in a terrified way, just like a wow, that's cool that music can make you feel scared like that. And it was particularly due to the sounds going on in the music. I just loved the sound and the shape of the notes, in addition to the notes themselves. So that's sort of like how his guitar tone got implanted into my head. But also those chords, the opening chords in Joey from the Dylan and the Dead album, when they screw up a chord and somebody hits a G and somebody hits an F at the same time, and I can't remember, I think Jerry hits the G and somebody's playing an F over it, and it just like lodged itself deep into my brain. And so
That's quite an intro. Like I loved when I first heard that story, you talking about victim of the crime. I think that's like the perfect intro to scare yourself as a little boy.
Yeah, right.
So mine, I very distinctly remember. I was in New London, New Hampshire, at my grandparents' lake house, and I have a very clear, vivid memory, and it is probably one of my earliest memories. I was 6 years old, and I walked into the kitchen, and I saw my dad crying. I think probably for the first time in my life. At least that's the first time I remember. And
Yeah, background note, Colin's dad is a huge wook.
he is. Yes. He
He's like
doesn't
the dustiest old man I've ever met.
for somebody that claims to not have done a lot of drugs, he doesn't remember like any of the shows that he went to. He was at
I've never seen drugs.
he was at Watkins Glen, which is the one he loves talking about, that one. But yeah, that day I very distinctly remember being at my grandparents' house and thinking something was horribly wrong, and sure enough,
And something was? Damn.
something was. So one thing that I wanted to maybe offer a little context to try to drive home that Phil Lesh is a man of integrity. So do you guys know what other major phenomenon was happening, let's say just across the summer of 1995? Just the whole country was swept up, glued to their TVs watching. Anyone?
OJ?
Was that
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
so old.
We were the country. Now I
And who
couldn't
shot
be bothered.
Mr. Burns?
Okay.
Running concurrent.
Well, we're gonna zoom in on the OJ trial, because you probably think, where the hell is this going right now? But it actually is something that plays key into the story of the first few years of the back and forth nonsense going between the Grateful Dead members post Jerry dying. So as many people know, there was a nasty estate battle with Jerry and Jerry's wives particularly.
Okay, so hold on one I used to work selling like fancy lamps, fancy light sculptures, and I'd have to talk to, it was like a sales job, so I just did phone. So I talked to so anytime anyone sort of verbally abused me over the phone, I would Google them. I wouldn't Google everybody. I would just, if they seemed psycho, I wanted to know who they were. And they were always somebody funny. And the most vivid, the best one, I was like, oh, Coons, like Jeff Coons? No.
Deborah.
Like Deborah Coons Garcia. So I sold her land.
Wow.
That's all.
Well, yeah, as many people know, this trial was nasty, and I don't want to necessarily get into the details of it, but you can go on YouTube and you can see hours of VHS. Nobody wants to watch it. But the thing that I love it, and I'm going to just play a really quick little clip from it. I'm sure people have heard this, but this just kind of seals how cool Phil is.
Can you describe Jerry Garcia's personality to us?
He was a cool dude.
A cool dude. That's how bass player Phil Lesh described Jerry.
You feel at this time that you have a very clear recollection of everything that was going on during that period of time and all those tours during that approximate decade?
No way.
No.
And do you have a clear recollection of everybody who was present on those various tours?
No, I don't. I've already stated that it's all very hazy.
Hazy during that period?
Any period. The last 30 years are one big smoky haze. Except for a few little bright moments.
So, and in the scheme of things, for him, like it's probably the least hazy.
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
so funny that he's so.
Oh no, absolutely. Well, Phil isn't a snitch.
Yeah.
That's why.
Exactly.
I mean, so essentially, what happens is the world gets swept up by this OJ case, right? And court TV becomes a thing. So they want the next big celebrity story.
Oh no.
And it just happens to be the Jerry Garcia estate.
Awesome.
And well, it's awesome for a cultural thing, but the fact that I think Phil clearly knows that Jerry would have hated all of this, and that's why he just doesn't want to weigh in. He's hands off. He doesn't want to give them anything that they can use.
What was the outcome? I actually don't know. Like what was decided from this trial?
I think that MG was able to get some of her settlement. And
right, of course, because they have the Garcia name and they put out the weed.
Right, totally.
Okay.
But
because I was going to say, if it didn't work out for them, then it would probably have been better to occur now, because the court of public opinion would have gone with Mountain Girl.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, yeah.
But it's just the fact that this was round the clock coverage of this case that otherwise would have never happened if the whole OJ thing wasn't such a sensation. Like, that's the only reason why.
Did anybody? What were the ratings?
I mean, I couldn't tell you that. But the funny thing is that what it came down to was it was like $5 million, I think, that MG wanted. And, at the end of the day, I believe she got that. Somebody else can fact check me on that one. But, yeah, so that was kind of my first point to prove that Phil Lesh is a man of integrity. The next one that I wanted to talk a little bit now, Jay, he can probably run circles around me on the details of this whole account. But again, there's some good articles out there from the time. But I know this was another long, drawn-out legal situation where the guitars, Jerry had asked in his will that the Doug Irwin guitars return to their maker. And essentially the guys, i.e. the other three of the core four, they had big ideas. They wanted to put them in their own museum. They just didn't want them to wind up in the hands of private owners, and hence things got a little messy, and made only messier because of the fact that Doug Irwin, Jay, do you know the story behind what happened with him kind of around this time this was all happening?
Loosely, yeah.
So Doug Irwin was involved in a hit and run accident, and it was really messy, and it kind of messed up his life for a while. And I don't want to get too deeply in the details, but I really personally think that Phil Lesh was on the right side of history on this one. I understand the intent why the guys didn't want them to go to Jim Irsay, for instance, the guy that owns Tiger. He's like the owner of the Colts. You can like Google pictures of him. You know, we'll throw one in the YouTube video of him like with a tie wrapped around his head holding Tiger, like as if he has it held hostage, you know. And he tours it around the country and lets Kenny Wayne Shepherd is the guy. He's probably one of the last guys that got to play Tiger, oddly enough.
Yeah.
But I mean, he owns Beatles guitars and drums and yada yada. Just a big. It's like the same as.
Why do you think Jerry wanted the guitar to go back?
Well, I think that Phil actually has a really good little point to make about this, and I will play it right now.
I was also upset by the decision of the other band members to contest Jerry's will, in which he had clearly stated that he wanted his custom guitars to be returned to their maker, luthier Doug Irwin. Management advised us to fight the will since, according to them, GDP had bought the instruments for Jerry. It was such a classic Jerry gesture, wanting to return his instruments to their maker, that I couldn't in good conscience be part of a lawsuit to subvert his last wishes. The irony was inescapable. The Grateful Dead, which for over 30 years had given me so much joy and meaning, had turned into a source of frustration.
Oof.
He went back to his maker. He wanted his guitars to go back to their maker.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I've got some heavy stuff, but I really feel like hearing some of this stuff in Phil's voice really sends it home.
Oh, it does.
But yeah, I think that is such a classic Phil thing. Like it's the world against Phil, and he's just thinking about his buddy. And you know, we often try to avoid the Jerry woulda cliche, but I think that in this case, if anybody's gonna say Jerry woulda, we can let Phil speak for him, right? Like, I think
they're so similar.
Yeah.
In terms of brevity or like heaviness.
Yeah.
Important.
Approach to music.
Yes,
absolutely.
Different,
that's
but
where
also
they meet.
like a core value shared.
Right.
Well.
Right. Exactly.
I've got another good a good little drop that kind of highlights what you were just saying, Jay.
Someone once characterized my musical relationship with Jerry as like a sandworm in heat.
I think that's pretty apt there. But I got one more little point that I want to talk about, and then we can open things up to some calls. And again, if you want to talk about this stuff,
wait, are we still talking about integrity, or are we going to another thing?
We're still talking about integrity.
Is your next thing about integrity?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
Keep going then. I have an integrity.
Okay. Oh, you can chime in now if you want.
I have
Chime
an
in.
integrity.
Chime in. No, let's hear it.
Okay. Only under Phil Lesh's rule did the Grateful Dead endorse a political figure. They endorsed Obama, and they did benefits for Obama,
True.
and they helped keep the country intact. And that all would have been a little helpful in the past 10 years. And none of nobody did. Like, not only did they not do it, nobody did it who needed to be doing it. Trey.
Don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote.
I'm not saying, oh, everyone should have been doing Bernie benefits, even though I am. But it's like, if you didn't want to get involved with swaying the primaries, when the Democratic Party, which can go whatever itself, but when the Democratic Party installed their nominee, I think, our community should have done a little bit more to back them. All of these times. Not that I love the Democratic Party so much.
No, same.
Biden.
Same.
I was trying to say.
No, and the story there too is really beautiful. I actually just listened last week to the Deadheads for Obama show that happened in 2008, and we may very well have not gotten a Core 4 post 2004 if not for Obama.
Right, he united the band.
Yeah, he did. Like, it's no stretch that
what was going on at the 04 band had further wrapped up.
Well, in 2004 it was still the Dead. But again, I don't want to get too deep into the politics, but I think that at that point everybody was kind of at each other's necks. I think that there was money kind of started getting involved, and who gets paid what, and who's putting the butts in the seats. Phil, in many cases,
keeping the tempos together.
Yeah, totally. Because when they started playing for the first time after Jerry died, it was like Bobby had Rat Dog, and he refused to play Grateful Dead music. They did the first Further Festival, and they maybe played one Grateful Dead song, and then Mickey got up and was whacking away and doing all that stuff. So it wasn't very much like a Grateful Dead concert, which I want to get to this point later, but I think that that's where Phil Lesh and friends eventually filled a void for a lot of people, myself included. But yeah, the other thing that's really sweet, I think, about the whole Deadheads for Obama thing is it was Phil's sons that came to him and was like, Dad, we feel very strongly about this guy. I think you should
So they were
look
like
into
Daily
it.
Show fans who had gotten into Obama from watching the Daily Show.
Yeah, actually,
that's the other reason Bernie didn't win, is because the Daily Show wasn't on.
Yeah,
If the Daily Show had been on, he would literally have been our president like this whole time. It would have been insane.
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny that you bring that up, because Phil actually pulled some strings, in his words, and got tickets to the taping of the Daily Show for him and his sons when Obama was on there as the senator, right?
Epic.
And so that was when he first met Obama, and
I like this guy.
So yeah, we can thank Brian and Graham for a little bit of that political, and it was a nice thing. We during that time we got not only the donor rap, but we got the voter rap too, which as much as we can fault some people for not speaking out specifically for one candidate.
I'm never gonna fault someone for not wanting to embarrass themselves.
No, absolutely.
But but once Libertarian Jerry died, then I don't know. If you know better, you should.
Well, so the last little thing that I wanted to talk about as far as Phil's integrity, and then we can open it up to some calls. I was there when the whole digital music revolution was happening. I was on Napster. I was on LimeWire.
I was there.
And
was Jay not born yet?
No, I
what year were you born, Jay?
4.
So 96, but
You were born in 1996.
But so
Holy
I
shit.
grew up. Some of my first memories are.
I'm 10 years older than you. What's your birthday?
October 3rd.
Oh, I'm okay. So I'm 9.5 years older than you.
9.5. But yeah, I grew up with alongside the computer. So I
for sure.
I was not locked into iPads in the way that
they didn't really.
Because they didn't have.
They weren't on that.
But I definitely was a techie kid. I mean, yeah, you look around. I grew up with it. Yeah.
So same.
So I definitely got into the piracy thing a little late in the game, but I'm familiar with the. Not quite. I missed Napster, but I got torrents and the other kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, my mom, who's in the chat, she was always a techie. She made sure we had a CD burner when those are around. And one of the beautiful things, when I started to first get into this music, you could download soundboards straight off of the archive, make a CD, put it in the car, sounded stellar. That was my gateway.
Lossless.
And I think lossless, yeah. And something that I think might get kind of lost on these younger generations who have their band camps and their Spotifys and and whatnot is that there was a time when it was hard to access this music. I remember in I want to say it was like the summer of 2007, Radiohead released In Rainbows. Do you remember this?
Yes.
The internet went ablaze because they offered it for free.
Wow.
Meanwhile, a good friend and mentor of mine, who actually just yesterday was playing the Bernie rally alongside Joan Baez and Neil Young, shout out Jeff Rosenstock, he had his own label where he was putting out all him and his friends' music, free MP3s. You could download it, make CDs again. It was awesome. It ruled. I think that, you know, the cost of convenience now these days, it's a little different. But back then, it meant so much to me. So I very vividly remember, I believe it was Thanksgiving, that the archive went down. And all of the music got pulled overnight and without warning. So something that was such a luxury to me just went away, and there was a lot of questions. There's actually a really good scholarly article that I found that I'll throw in the description of the video later at some point, but it really goes in depth talking about the fan response and like all the petitions that were signed. I do have...
Wait, fan response to what?
To all the music getting pulled down, all the Grateful Dead soundboards getting pulled down from the archive.
And who pulled it down?
Well, my understanding is that this was a part of the evolving relationship with Rhino Records and the status of the vault.
They've pulled down some of my Instagram photos.
Oh gosh.
First,
but
selling bootleg stickers.
But actually, before that, the vault was kind of always in question, like what's going to happen to it.
It's like the Disney vault.
And I think that
it's the original.
So I do have a short little clip with Phil talking about it first, and then I'm also gonna read his little statement. So this precedes the whole soundboard archive going down, but this is shortly after Jerry died. What was going to happen with the music?
I began to be the odd man out when I opposed a grand plan to start a new corporation with a huge influx of venture capital money. All we had to do was put up the vault, our sole legacy, as the major asset. Try as I would, I couldn't get any concrete information from the investors as to how they were planning to recoup their investment. Most disturbing was the fact that the vault would be totally under the control of the new company for at least 10 years. In essence, we were gambling with our legacy, giving control to investors whose intentions were obscure at best. Despite my adamant protests, GDP spent hundreds of thousands of dollars that we couldn't afford trying to get this deal going. The dot-com bust of 2001 finally put an end to the plan, fortunately before the vault was given away.
So fast forward a couple years from then, and all of a sudden it goes down overnight, and you can no longer download or stream any of this stuff. And I have the statement from Phil right here. He says, I'm not going to try to do a Phil impression, but it might slip into that a little bit.
Get the nitrous tank in here and we can all be Phil.
It was brought to my attention that all of the Grateful Dead shows were taken down from the archive.org right before Thanksgiving. I was not a part of the decision-making process and was not notified that the shows were to be pulled. I do feel that the music is the Grateful Dead's legacy, and I hope that one way or another, all of it is available for those who want it. I have enjoyed using archive.org and found it invaluable during the writing of my book. I found myself being pulled back in time listening to old Grateful Dead shows while giggling with glee, or feeling that ache in my heart listening to Jerry's poetic guitar and sweet voice. Aw. Like, I just think he puts it so perfectly. Like, it's invaluable, and it's, you know, I feel very lucky now that we can still stream all of it. It's just sad to think that there was a time that they could just throw the switch and the possibility of this being out there is all gone, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. There was an issue recently where I think it was some of the tech, I think they got hacked, right? And the site went down.
Yeah.
And frankly, I don't think enough people were talking about that.
I noticed that.
Like,
too. That was a weird, because I just, even the stuff I've uploaded, like, you're like, oh, it's gone. Cool.
Oh, no.
Like, and then it comes back, but all their stats were reset, and for statistician folks like you, Colin.
Yeah, right.
That sucks. You can't see how many views on a show anymore. Can't properly tally like how many folks have listened. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of data being lost is a bummer.
That is a bummer.
So enjoy it while you can, folks, because nothing lasts forever. We hope that this music is going to be available. Jerry famously said, once we're done with the music, it's yours. Have at, you know. So I feel like that whole thing kind of goes against their wishes. And of course, I think Rhino does their best to remaster and put some of this music out. But you know, the availability of this music, just that instantaneous being able to get there, it's important to a lot of us, who, especially the people that play the music and study it so deeply. You know, we want to check out this version to make sure that we're getting these chords right, or whatever it is. It's such a tool that I think we all take for granted. But yeah, I think maybe now would be a good time.
You want to get some strangers?
We can get some
strangers.
strangers.
Have anything to say?
How about Anthony? You've been here for a while. Do you want to get
from him.
Anthony?
He's got to
in
go,
here?
I think, at some
Oh,
point.
okay.
So
Well, let's get him in here.
Hey guys.
Hey Anthony, how we doing?
I'm good. I'm enjoying the view of your keyboard, Jay.
Uh-oh. Oh, there we go.
Hey.
Thanks.
So I want to start off by asking you, who are you, where are you, and how are you?
I'm good. I'm Anthony Coscia. I'm in Southbury, Connecticut, and I'm a luthier. I make guitars and have my Wall of Sound project.
Yes, we actually...
That's how Jay and I met.
And that's how Jay and I met as
we
well.
all met on the set. Yeah, I think
Yep.
we saw each other on the first. You guys were at the same show.
Yeah, it was like all these drunk people were yelling requests at the mini wall of sound in the Garcias. They were yelling drunken requests for Phil, and that's where I met Jay. Jay was like, "Hey," I was like, "This is unreal."
That's right. There were we met a lot of people there.
I wasn't one of the drunk guys, but I was definitely holding on to a railing.
Oh no! Oh no!
Kind of getting a good lean as some psilocybin was taking in its effect, and I'm just being mesmerized by this wall. And I think out of the shadows came Jay like an angel, and a very gentle presence. And hey guys, gave him a handshake, and little did we know we'd be playing music together all these years. And
beautiful.
It was a beautiful. And I also remember hearing that, while that Phil show, it was October 2021, 3 shows at the Cap where it was the Phil Lesh Quintet were playing.
Yep.
And I believe it was Alaina's husband Nick was telling me that there was at least one woman that didn't leave Garcia's the entire run, so never actually.
It was amazing.
Didn't
yeah,
actually
no,
go
I
into the
remember her.
show.
She's like a tantric massage girl or something like that, and she's been following forever. She never left the front of the wall.
I love it. Just totally mesmerized. Yeah, Phil's in the other room, with one of the best post Jerry bands out there. That was actually my first show in 2003 at the Orpheum Theater, was the Quintet. So very much made it a point to go to those shows. But yeah, that was as much as like I had to be in there in the room. It was such a beautiful memory, just sitting there kind of taking some deep breaths and grounding myself as I'm soaking in the sound from the wall. And yeah,
grasping.
Well, if you turn the lights off and you don't have that frame of reference, you don't realize it's miniature,
Right. Exactly. I love it.
You're being blasted.
And we've also, we've seen Jay play many of your beautiful instruments.
They're so fantastic, man. It's my favorite. It's I've had your guitar, unfortunately, sitting waiting for a little bit of an adjustment for a while, but I'm going to bring it back with some mods.
I mean, I know you, Jay. There's always going to be transition constantly, because otherwise it gets old.
It gets old. I gotta move forward. Always.
So can we ask, what is the status with the WALD projects? Where are we seeing the next moves? I know, we're in a little bit of a transition state, but will we see?
Yeah. It kind of sucks. I mean, it's sitting in a storage unit. The big one is right now. I've got a real potential for something coming up this summer for a longer term home in Connecticut for it.
Awesome.
So I'm working on that. There was the small one that was at the auction in California. That one's actually being shipped to Germany. It gets to Hamburg, Germany in 4 days. So I'm going to fly out there and set it up in a music producer's place out there.
Awesome.
So really, until that half one gets placed, then everything kind of jump starts again. So I'm really hoping June, July timeframe.
Awesome. Well, we hope to come down there and see it. I know Jay's gotten to play through it. I only got to see
It's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
You created a monster.
Yeah. I mean,
you recreated a monster.
I'm hoping this is a place where everyone can get to come play it rather than just bands that are on the bill, you know? So that's kind of the goal.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Yeah. I mean, I got chills just watching the videos of it. I can only imagine what it's like seeing that thing in person, or let alone playing through it. So
it doesn't suck. It's fun.
Yeah. Heck yeah. And I really appreciate some of the I know Jay likes to have his little what if moments, as far as we get deep into talk. Well, what would have happened with Jerry's overdrive as things evolved?
Yes.
That's
all I think about. Yeah.
Well, I love that you were. What if the beam was in full force? While we got to have sea stones through the wall of sound, but I can only imagine what Mickey would be doing with the wall these days.
Right.
I mean, yeah, the sphere is another beast, but yeah.
But that was kind of the fun thing about the project. It wasn't about replicating the wall. It was about, well, if the wall was just a starting point that they scrapped, what would have happened if you kept improving on it or changing it, and see where it would go. And that's kind of an opportunity that we have. And I'm thrilled that Jay is pretty close to me, because if we get it back in Connecticut, it'll be like a little playground for him to come in and experiment, and for Mike to send his toys to play on. So
love it. Love it. Can't wait for that. Hopefully we'll do a live episode from the wall when it.
That would be nice.
Heck yeah. And I think that also kind of speaks to Phil's mentality with Phil and Friends over the years. He was never trying to recreate the wheel. It was all perfect the way that it was. So as he moved on, he started shuffling his bands around. He was searching for the sound, really, no better way to put it, I really love that. Do you have a particular moment? I know we could probably talk about Grateful Dead shows all day, but is there a Phil show after Jerry died that sticks out to you that you saw?
Probably my earlier ones, like Hammerstein Ballroom in 2006, I think it was, were great shows with Barry Sless and with what's his name, who played with Dylan,
Larry Campbell.
Larry Campbell. Those were great shows. And then obviously anything that Quint, and I loved. I mean, those three shows at the Cap were absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, agreed. That those are probably some of the best that I got to see. Yeah. I think we might talk about that a little bit more later. But I have some memories from those shows that are gonna stick with me for a long, long time. Yeah, one in particular, I just remember. I want to say it was the first night at the end of the first set or something. No, I think it was coming into the second set. I forget who initiated it, but everyone in the band, minus Phil, started gesturing as if they're all taking pictures of each other. Like, we got to remember this moment.
Remember that.
And Phil kind of like bashfully turned around, like, "Oh guys, I'm not dying yet. Come on." Like, no, we gotta savor this moment. This is incredible, And I just love that it took one person to do that, and then it was Rob Baraka, Warren Haynes, Jimmy Herring, John Mollo, each one of them going to each other and got to remember this one forever. Yeah. So
yeah, I remember that as being the last Phil shows where Phil was clearly controlling the band and orchestrating it. And reining everything in when it needed to be. And after that, it just felt like he was sort of taking a step back, and it just wasn't the same.
Yeah. I got to see a couple good shows in 2023 where I thought the band was really hot, but nothing really touched that.
It's the one at the baseball stadium. Did you go to that one in Connecticut?
Oh no, the tennis place, right? Is that what you're thinking of?
No, it's like
Westville?
minor league baseball stadium.
No, I didn't go to that one.
When that was. Those were great though.
Well, thank you, Anthony. It's great to talk to you.
No, it's been great. I'm switching over to the car, so I just wanted to make sure I was able to check in, and I'll listen from the car, but this is fantastic.
Sounds good.
It was great hearing your voice, and I hope we get to see each other pronto.
No, real soon, Jay. I'll talk soon.
Cheers, man.
I know Jay was really hoping that Mr. Mike Wald would call in. You got a minute to talk, Waldo?
He's still over here? Yeah,
you there?
There he is. Yeah.
I'm doing fine.
Hey,
What's
how you
going
doing?
on? Oh, long hair, Waldo. I haven't seen you in a minute.
You like that, huh?
I like that look, man. That's looking good on you.
What are you working on?
Haven't talking. I'm actually working on modifying this Beatron
Look at
that just got
Sick.
released. This
Damn.
Mutron type of effect.
Oh yeah.
Over here tinkering around with it and listening to you guys with what's going on. I did want to touch on the Jerry Will thing.
Yeah.
Having spoken with Doug Irwin, Doug had stated that when he would be backstage with Jerry, a lot of times Jerry would tell him personally, when I die, I'm giving you back these instruments. And he would say it in front of Steve Parrish, and apparently Steve Parrish didn't like the notion that Jerry was going to give those guitars back to, because Steve was the one that was handling them all that time. And I know that Phil mentioned about management being the one pushing, but one of the big guys pushing to keep those guitars and go against Jerry's will was Mr. Steve Parrish.
So he could option them
maybe
later.
Taboo or whatever he wanted to do with them. He ended up keeping a couple. He had the beans for a little while, and I think he had Alligator before he gave it to Deborah, or she got it in the judgment or whatever came out of that. But and I don't know what the whole, the big story or the big rumor was that, Rosebud broke down on the last show and Tiger was played. And, I busted that myth a long, long time ago, but it started somewhere, and it's ironic that the GDP out of all the Irwins kept was Rosebud, which was the last guitar played by Jerry, not Tiger.
Yeah.
That should have went to Doug. And had they told the truth, or to this day, they haven't produced any evidence from the Grateful Dead side of that last song on what guitar Jerry was playing. But we've found us enough proof online to establish that it was definitely Rosebud and not Tiger.
Waldo, can you clarify what you're talking about there? Because that is a crazy topic that I don't think enough people know about.
It's like our Zapruder film,
From my
right?
own experience, it sounds like all of the recordings on the archive, I can't remember if there's a cut at a certain time, but they only released a certain... what was your confirmation?
Well, the confirmation was the in-ear monitors they were using at the time were being recorded as well.
They had their own stream, yeah.
Right, they had their own stream, just like in the old days where they would stream it by radio, so you could tune into a radio station outside of the stadium and record the show. They had a separate monitor feed. That obviously we didn't hear unless they stepped on that pedal. Sometimes you'd hear them mistakenly tell him to turn Bob down or something that he meant to go into monitors, but he hit the button wrong. Well, that feed right there, when they come out, Phil calls two encores. So we knew that it wasn't, Box of Rain wasn't a surprise call. It was already called before when they stood on stage, and he talks about that in that monitor, in that monitor feed. But in the monitor feed, you can still hear Jerry playing from beginning to end.
What are you doing, Jeff? Hey, you're Karnak, you know it, right? Come on. Karnak just did a back seat. Right then, we're going to do a double into Black Muddy River. Black Muddy, Boxo. And the second one is going to be Box of Rain.
you know, and they wanted to do a third encore. So we can't tell who it was, if it was Mickey or whatever. Let's do another one, and then calls them all a bunch of chicken shits for not doing the third one.
And a short time to be
Fucking chicken shit. Come on, play another song.
But that monitor feeds on YouTube. It's on my website too.
I'll try to find it and
a link
post
to
in the
it.
chat.
Yeah. We can splice that in too right here.
Fucking chicken shit.
And
What
the
section,
after-
Waldo, on your site?
It's in Rosebud.
Thank you. I should know that by heart, but there's so
But
many.
they knew
there's so
they
many
knew what
sections.
guitar they knew what guitar was played last, and they knew in their negotiations on what guitars they were going to give Doug back what guitar was played last. And lo and behold, they have the last guitar that was played last.
I'm gonna post
You
this
know,
in our chat.
but Jim Irsay likes to advertise that Tiger was the last one played, and he paid a lot of money because it was supposedly the last one played.
What a fool.
And he didn't allow people to use it. Also didn't allow people to play it for the longest time because he had believed that the strings on it were the last ones played. Until I had to let him know, no, Steve Parrish took those strings off, and he possesses those strings.
This is
So those weren't original. Those weren't the last strings on Jerry's. And then after that, Irsay started letting Warren play it, and eventually some other cats got to play it.
Guess it gets a string changed now.
Yeah, Kenny Wayne Shepherd, right? The guy
Right,
who
Kenny
really
was
deserves to play it, Kenny Wayne Shepherd.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a weird. He did like a tour that came through the Boston Garden where he essentially set up an exhibit of all of the famous instruments that he owned. I wasn't around when it happened, but yeah, they had a big exhibit. You could see all the instruments, and then they had a big concert. And I think it's safe to say nobody in the concert were heads. Like it was like just kind of a bunch. Yeah.
He does own a lot of good stuff, and he isn't the worst at collecting them. He does put them out for people to. He does display them.
Yeah.
They become alive when they're played.
One of the most recognizable guitars in Irsay's collection. Jerry Garcia of the Grateful Dead's 1979 Doug Irwin, known as Tiger.
You see yourself more as a steward of all these artifacts. I mean, you own them, but really you're taking them on the road. You want people to experience them. You want people to feel the joy.
I look at it as I own nothing because you never see a hearse pulling a U-Haul. It's like, I mean, but as you get older, you get more of a position of service. It's a service of the arts to the community.
He owns Jerry's Budman now too, Macintosh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The amp that he owns Harrison's SG. He owns the complete tablet for the On the Road book, Steve Kerouac.
Oh wow,
that's insane.
He owns that complete scroll. He's displayed that before. I think at the GD50 he displayed that.
Huh.
Wow.
Rolled that out.
That's nice.
But yeah, he does own a lot of stuff, and he plays himself. He has his own little band every beginning of every football year. They usually do a show the night or two before, and I think that's why Kenny ended up playing it. Was during one of those events before the football season kicked off. He does a little event down there, and his band plays, and he tries to bring in some stars down here. But back to Rosebud, that was the last one. I don't know if you've pulled up that stuff.
Yeah, I threw a link in the chat if anybody's curious, and then let me link to Waldo's just fabulous website for anybody who is here. You must be a certain level of nerd. And while you may not be into the niche of the guitar nerdum,
you should
this
be.
is you should be, but B, this is just Waldo's archive, that his Garcia guitar and gear directory. It's just fabulous. It's a museum on its own.
Well, I will say I appreciate the fact that I did get to see Rosebud at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and one of the things I was reading was that in part of their giving it to the Rock Hall to show, they made sure that it was in a place where no one had to pay admission, so you could just go into the lobby. There's a few things. I know Fish's Hot Dog from their New Year's show is up there in the lobby, as are, I think they might have had a different exhibit where they show them elsewhere, but at least when I went and saw it, and actually I don't know if you know the song Rosebud by Ryan Adams, but he talks about
Rosebud shipwrecked up on the OI behind the wall of glass.
The GDP made that stipulation. They used to have all of the instruments in there. They had Tiger Wolf was in there as well, and they were all required to be in a place where you didn't have to pay admission to see them. And going back a couple, almost 2 decades now, there was a luthier named Matt Moriarty, who had spent a good weekend specifically sitting inside of that atrium, or whatever you want to call it, taking as many details as he could of that Tiger, and produced some pretty well made Tigers at the time. But he was one of the first to really start crafting, real Tigers, I guess you could call them.
Nathan's got his Leo, right? His Scarlet Fire out. Look at that.
Yeah, there you go.
What's up,
Always
Nathan?
have it out.
How you doing, bro?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good to see you.
Yeah, you guys too.
I like the guitar accessory. It's fun to see the things people bring along. Oh, you got the MIDI on there too?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, heck
Look
yeah.
at that. Oh, dude.
Kind of double-sided 3M tape. It worked perfectly.
Dude, you got to. Yeah, I feel like trying to do the screws for that pickup is such a
Can't wait for Leo to do that if I have it done.
Oh, man, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that his smaller body model, or is that a full-blown Wolf?
That's the full-blown Wolf.
Okay, cool. Yeah. He has what's the small one called? Waldo.
That's the Lion.
The Lion. Yeah.
I don't know if that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. Yeah. Sorry. All right.
Maybe.
I've fully gone guitar tangent off the rails.
No, we love it.
Man.
But yeah, I think ultimately, I really appreciate your input there, Waldo. Obviously, I know that Jay sings your praise all the time, but I would love to say that you are responsible for a lot of what we know, and just thank you for that. So many people, whether or not they realize, have benefited from your deep nerdom, and
thousands.
Yeah. I love it, and that's the stuff that we, Jay and I get into about all day long. Like I think I have an Eastwood Wolf, a little budget model there, but he was the one that, when I say, oh, I want to put the cream pickups in, it was this. No. Hold on. Goes to Waldo's website. Yeah. No, I was right. I was like, yeah, I trusted you. I trusted you. Yes. That's the one that I have in my mind, the closing of Winterland, and yes.
Right on.
Hell yeah.
What? We're moving on from Jerry. There's a couple bases, Mission Control clones that are going to be out there here pretty soon. I mean, in the next couple weeks, you're going to see them on stage being played by some of these big cats.
Awesome. It's going to be sick.
Yeah. So we've nailed the Phil 74 tone, 73. So
we got the Philter. You can't see it, Waldo, but I got on the camera view that we're recording for YouTube. We have the new Loud and Clear Brian Anderson book. We have a mini Jerry. We have some Dancing Bears, and we have the brand new Philter sitting out there on the table, and which you were an instrumental part of. That would not have been here without your recreation of it. So thank you.
Right on.
So just out of curiosity, how, like, what was the impetus for that, the reverse engineering? Like, where did that all start with the filter itself?
If maybe a few, even 2 or 3 years back, I was first approached, and I had to stiff arm the project because my placement has run us over. And I'd sent him off to another cat to check it out and see if he could do it, and it didn't come to fruition on his part. So they approached me again, and I kind of felt bad that they had been given a raw deal by this guy that I'd sent them to. So I took on the project, not really knowing where it was going to go. You know, we were just knew that we wanted to try and recreate the base, and at the time, Jason, the owner that owns Mission Control today, the curator of today, didn't have the original filters in it. He had bought the guitar from Gruen Guitars, who had gotten it from a what would you call it, a storage auction.
Oh wow!
And they had whoever I think it was Turbo Tom, one of Phil's techies, was given it and given carte blanche, which I believe Phil ended up regretting, giving away that bass. But he had really screwed it up. He was trying to go on some other tangent with it. But Gruen Guitars got it. They got in contact with Rick Turner, and they did their best to recreate it at that time. And Jason, once he got it, God bless his heart, wants it all to be as close to how it was. So that's why they first approached me. I did stiff arm them at the beginning, but I'm glad that it ended up turning around and coming back my way, because we nailed it and got it. It sounds really good.
Yeah, I got to play through Jay's, and it sounds incredible. I know they're getting in the hands of a lot of good players right now, and they seem to be loving it too.
I've been enjoying having it like the sisterhood of the traveling. I don't know if that's a real reference, but like bringing it around and being like, here, have it at this show, and people getting a kick out of it.
Yeah, we've gotten the pickups. We've gotten the pickups accurate. We've gotten the preamps for them pickups, the hum canceling system that goes with that. There's a little bit more that goes into the basses, and then with Billy Trout, I don't know if he's on here, but Billy was instrumental in getting the LED system working on it, so it lights up like Phil's did, and all the push buttons and stuff that were involved with it.
Billy's a wizard.
So how exactly did you? So because the bass itself didn't have the original components, what was the source material that you were using to verify that the
original components?
Okay.
By the time that it had come back around to me, Jason they had found one of the road cases.
Oh, okay.
And inside of the road cases, they found the original pickups.
What a find!
The original. I think four of the 5 original cards. One with the these guys didn't know what they had, so I had to tell them, that card is the one we want. That's the one that has the filter on it.
Yeah.
And then we determined we weren't going to go into all the micro switching for the quads, and because the guitar, the bass has 6 outputs.
Yeah, not necessary.
And we don't have a wall of sound to use. Most people don't have a 4 output bass system
for the time being.
So we opted not to go with the microcontrolling. But at that said, now that we've gone this far, the thought is now, why don't we go for the switching and you know what I mean? Yes. And maybe one day somebody will come up with the rig, or we can make a smaller rig or something, but why not go for the switch? And it's just a little bit further.
Can I ask a little bit more? In 2 sentences, if you could, or you don't have to restrict it to that, but like the short summary, if you were to make a rig that made that somewhat feasible, would it just need to be some kind of amplifier with for convenient stage use, 4 outputs, 4 individual outputs and inputs, and then you
If you wanted to do a quasi one, yeah, you would need four amps.
Or combine
let's
them
just
all.
let's just put it where you would know.
Yeah.
Two 2300s.
Yep.
And 2 F2Bs.
Okay, and those.
And then what it would be, you could do 2 or 4 speakers per channel,
and just spread them across the stage, or what would they?
If you wanted to, or stack them like he did, two stacks.
Okay.
But but in reality, the way he played it, you would only need 2. 1 Mac and 1 F2B.
And the F2B.
Yeah, left and right. Left and right.
Gotcha. How did he spread the strings? Do we know? You or Anthony?
Anthony says he knows a guy in the chat.
Yeah.
Knows all the guys.
Yeah, we can make our little wall of sound rigs come true. Okay, thank you for dreaming with me.
Well, I was just listening to Jesse Jarnow did a recent Deadcast on Phil that was incredible. That'll probably come up in another point, but I heard for the first time, it was a little bit more recently, but Phil kind of admitted that it was overkill and not totally practical, the use of the splitting the 4 strings. Is like every time this string was all the way over the other side of the stage and I couldn't hear it, one person's hearing it.
Yeah, I've heard that he didn't love, he wasn't super
in effect, it was probably cool for the crowd to hear these things, but on stage the idea of monitoring it was just going to be a mess, and
it was
not
the monitoring. It was disorienting.
Yeah.
When you're on Jerry's side, you have the top set of speakers and the bottom set of speakers, and that'd be 1 or 2 strings right there. The other side of the stage would have the other 2 strings, and you're trying to play a song, and you're only hearing the low E when he plays the low E string. You know what I mean?
I can chime in. I tried it out in this room. I bought a switcher, the multi-output switcher.
For the guitar, right?
For the guitar. So it's a 6-string hexaphonic pickup that's made by it's called the Sub 6, the submarine pickup people in England make it, and it has individual 1/4-inch outputs, 6 of them for each string, and so I set up 6 amplifiers in different spots around the room, and just as a trial, I was like, I wonder what this feels like, because I'm thinking, it'll be a really cool swirl of sound. Why not? And unfortunately, it's completely disorienting. It almost knocks you off balance, because when you play chords are kind of fun, but when you play a melody, you have the melody bouncing completely, it's seemingly randomly around the room.
Which I can only imagine what Phil's playing was like.
So imagine a lower note with an even longer, bigger wave involved. I would think that would be more disorienting to have bass kind of jumping around the stage, especially.
Well, yeah, but they say that, and Anthony has talked to a lot of guys that have worked with the wall, but they say that by the time it reached the crowd, it all melted into one anyway. Yeah. But it was just the stage, the fact that the guys were disoriented on stage, that it really didn't work for them, and Phil opted not to use it. Now, I know Jesse Jarnow also kind of mentioned that was the reason why he didn't use Mission Control, or and you see Big Brown more. Big Brown and Mission Control, even though the electronics aren't identical, the way they function were identical. They both had the quad. They both had a neck and bridge pickup. The only difference was that, aside from the manufacturer of the filters, was that Big Brown used analog switches, rotary switches, and Mission Control used the digital switch, the microcontroller switching for the pickup selectors and stuff like that.
Anthony says no intermodulation, though, the only practical benefit, which
I got
frankly,
you.
I don't actually know what he's saying right now.
But it's saying that there's no intermodulation between the strings coming out of the same speaker. Like every single string is clean, I guess.
Yeah,
you can think of it that way.
Right.
Cool. Well, very good. Thanks for talking to us, Waldo.
Gosh,
I really
y'all.
appreciate
What
it.
an-
Everybody's getting it straight from the source right here.
Leave
you
it
know?
to the guitar nerds to hijack, man. I love
Right,
it.
sorry.
No, it's me. It's my questions. Thanks, Waldo.
We love
I
it.
appreciate you being here.
So I think we'll probably dip back into a little bit of the Phil talk. I know that some of this is out of ALAINA's realm. We're going deep into the nerd talk, but
I'm listening. Just a
yeah.
listener.
So
Ow!